I think we'll start. Is it okay? Shall I start?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. My name is Pavana and I'll be handling your mobile communication. I was asked to handle mobile communications. So I'll be dealing today with the introduction to mobile communication and GSM networks. So whenever you find that I go fast, you can always stop me and ask questions. So if I can clarify, it's well and good. If not, I'll come back and clarify. So can you hear me properly? Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Shall I start? I hope you can see my screen. Okay. So actually, how do you define mobile communication? So mobile communication is what that you're communicating with someone who is not in front of you or who is not with you. That is mobile communication, isn't it? So usually how was in past 80 years before, or not 80 years before, 20 years before, how was the communication happening? We used to talk via landline, isn't it? But now we can talk by walking or wherever we are. It has become so easy that my device, whatever, through whichever I want to communicate, is portable and it is in my pocket, and wherever I go I can communicate, isn't it? That is mobile communication. Mobile communication is nothing but you don't have to sit in one place to communicate, and you can carry whatever the device you want and wherever you go. So providing that kind of communication is mobile communications. So how do we do mobile communication? Is by using radio waves. So you have already known the basics of those things. So mobile communication, when it was introduced, so before going into the architecture of mobile communication, so we'll see how the mobile communication was developed. So previously it was landline. So whatever I was talking was converted into electrical energy, and that was transmitted to through wires to some other phone, and operator used to give the channels and they used to talk. That was landline. Now what happened next was they came across handset. If you remember, you can use that handset inside the home. Correct? No? I hope you can remember that. After that came mobile technology. In mobile technology, what is the technique is? I can take the mobile phone wherever I want. So my whatever I want to communicate with whomever I want, I can communicate by moving around. That is my mobile communication. Okay? The mobile communication, the techniques was developed. So initially the first technique for the mobile communication was 1G technology. Are you following me? Do you want me to reduce the speed? If you don't answer me back, how I can continue?
No, ma'am, it's all right.
Can I continue?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Saundarya. See, mobile communication was developed. So there was some technology to give me mobile communication, isn't it? How it was developed. That is, we call it as generation 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. Now it is 5G. So whatever is getting improved. So right now you know that mobiles are getting improved. What they're doing, they're giving selfie cameras, they're improving OS, and Apple too, they don't improve at all. So they are improving something. But in case of your mobile communication, how it happened? First they started with 1G, then they went to 2G, then they went to 3G. Now 5G is going on, isn't it? In one, I just wanted to tell you few points on this, because directly jumping into mobile architecture does not make you understand how it happened. So when the mobile communication was started in 1980s, the first generation was what? I have to see that my voice was communicated somewhere through the air and I can move around. That was the basic criteria in 1G. So during first generation, the speed, whatever I was spoken was converted into analog signal. Remember, there was no digital modulation in those times, 1980s. Analog modulation was happening. Now, what do you mean by analog modulation? My voice was carried by some frequency. I didn't convert into digital. I simply transmitted it. So in analog modulation, the noise is very high. So the speed is very less. So in 1G technology, the speed was just 2.4 kilobits per second and the voice quality was very, very poor and there was no security. Anybody could have hacked it by tuning into the particular frequency. That was 1G. Then came our 2Gs. So in 2G, what they did was they wanted to transfer the data or voice. So in 1G, only voice was transmitted. I can only call. So I don't know you remember or not. When I was very small, the handset was very heavy and the call rate was very high, and they could call only for using analog signals. There was no SMS initially when it came. After 1G, what they did was they wanted both data and voice to go. So they started with second generation. So remember one thing, each generation has some improvision in it. They will improve something. What they can improve maximum, you can only imagine. They can improve speed. They can add multimedia communications. What do you mean by multimedia communications? You can send voice. Now with your cell phone, you can send voice, you can send data, you can send email, you can send videos. So many things gets added up, isn't it? That is multimedia communication. In second generation, what was improved was the speed was increased, the noise was decreased, and multimedia communication was started. So what is multimedia? Everything you can send, audio, video, those were started in second generation, and that was started in 1991. So each generation has some technology added to it. Okay, so in 2G, GPRS was started. Now, what do you mean by GPRS? General Packet Radio System is a technology which helps your self system or mobile system to do data. That is, you are sending data. Email you can do, and you can send SMS services, all the digital technology, what you are doing, or you can get connected to internet by using GPRS. So that was introduced in 2G technology. So to understand mobile communication, you have to, or mobile architecture, I'll explain the architecture of mobile communication using some architecture I have to take. So I am taking 2G technology. Now, what do you mean by 2G technology? A technology which gives communication while moving with lot of extras to it. So what is an architecture? You know, what do you mean by an architecture? House architecture. So what house architecture is, what all is needed, where all it should be placed. So that architecture is your mobile communication architecture. I saw your syllabus. According to your syllabus, you have mobile communication architecture. That mobile communication architecture, I will take second generation architecture. Are you understanding? So you can take any architecture you want. So but second generation architecture is a one which acts as a basic building for whatever we are having today. That is a main mobile communication architecture. So the technology which provides mobile communication in second generation is called as GSM. Okay, so GSM is global system for mobile computing, is a technology which provide mobile communication in 2G. Okay, based on that, they are improving right now. After 2G, 3G came. There is one more architecture called CDMA. There is one more architecture called TDMA. So different countries use different architectures. So right now we are using GSM. Okay. So after 2G, what came? 3G came. So in 3G again, see again what improvement they can do. They can increase the speed. You know the internet speed is so high right now that I can get connected in seconds. Previously, if you remember, we used to get that arrow mark which used to repeat and repeat and repeat. Right now 3G technology gives you more speed, and you can do video conferencing, you can watch TV, you can play games. So that is in third generation. So mobile communication is getting improved. So in each generation they are adding something. Then comes fourth generation. So what is fourth generation? Again, speed was increased. Mobile, every time they are increasing speed. So if you remember previously, we used to get 150 Mbps. That was a big deal. Right now we get Gbps speeds, isn't it? High definition mobile TV. High. That is your. You can watch HD TV. When you can watch HD TV? Only when your internet speed is too good, isn't it? So your mobile communication was improving with the generations. So right now we have 5G, isn't it? It is going on. It's already in few countries, you know, that it is already being implemented. We are also getting the mobile phone with 5G. So maybe we may also get it. So right now I'll be explaining GSM. So what is GSM? Global System for Mobile Communication. This is a technology which gives me mobile communication in second generation. I hope it is clear. Any doubt till now? Okay. So now in your mobile communication, see, I tell you that I will give you communication. So in Bluetooth, if you remember, you will send data in Bluetooth. Can you send it to the entire kilometers together? Or what you will do? You have to sit together and send the data. Why is that so? Because there is something called as limits, isn't it? Even for your Bluetooth, you can send only to 10 meters. So like that, imagine you are here, I am in Bangalore, you are in Chennai, we are communicating, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? So I am here, you are there, I can call you anytime, you can pick the call, you're communicating. So which technology gives you that provision to communicate? That technology is your global system for mobile communication. Okay, now this global system for mobile communication, imagine the complexity. India has so many states, each state has so many districts. You can be anywhere, you can be in forest, you can be anywhere. You have to be connected. How is it even possible? So that connection is done. They have done it not simply like a layman service. They'll get up, you call. It's not possible. Imagine the coverage area. We keep scolding, isn't it? There is no coverage area anywhere. So right now, just imagine that the entire India is divided into number of cells. So they have to decide what is the shape of the cell. I can't give, if I give circle, what happens? If I give square, what happens? If I give hexagonal, what happens? So to provide mobile communication in 2G network, what they have done is they have taken the entire geographical region of India and divided into following maps. So this each slots are hexagonal in nature. Why? Because you can see there is no gaps present in between. If you put round, there are gaps present. You try putting round everywhere. There are few holes where you cannot get connected. So you start scolding that I don't get networks. So to avoid that, to provide this mobile communication, entire India is divided into these many slots, and each slot is given a transmitter. Okay, these cells are called as, these whatever hexagonal thing what I'm showing you is called as cell, and the group of cell is called as a cluster. Okay, so this is done in your global system for mobile communicating, GSM, to provide mobile communication. So first thing what you should know is the entire India is divided into number of cells. Each cell has a transmitter or a receiver, and they are combined together. There are a lot of techniques how it should be combined, and what to be done. Right now you remember that for mobile communication the entire geographical area is converted into hexagon. Okay, now each hexagon has a transmitter. So let's start with our architecture for GSM. So to begin with, what is mobile communication? Mobile communication is a technology where I can move and talk in a very layman word. Wherever I go, I can talk. I should be connected. That is mobile communication. To provide mobile communication, there are so many technologies. I'll be explaining you global system for mobile computing because that is one of the famous technology used. So this was introduced in 2G. That is second generation in 90s. Right now they are improvising it. Okay, so before starting the mobile communication, what you have to do, you have to decide how many base stations I need, what are the services the customer needs, and you cannot give free services, isn't it? How to bill them, how much to charge them, everything comes under GSM. Okay, there are so many things to be learned for GSM. How the call should be handed over. See, I don't sit in one place. I keep moving. So if I from Karnataka to Chennai, if I move, there are so many places I go. If I keep moving, will I be connected? So how do I create cells? So these things comes under GSM. So the technology which provides communication is GSM. Okay. So first what you need, definitely what you need is you need a mobile phone to talk, correct? So first of all, I hope you can see the screen. Should I have to increase the size of the screen? Shall I increase it, guys?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, in the sense it is positive or negative? Should I increase or I
Yes,
need
ma'am.
not to?
Increase
Oh,
the size, ma'am.
yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is your cell phone. So when I tell cell phone, whatever your mobile phone is, your cell phone. So you have never opened it and seen what is there in that cell phone, isn't it? Now that mobile phone has trans receiver, so it will listen, it will receive, it will transmit and receive, isn't it? So our voice is analog. Whatever in the nature naturally is present is analog in nature. So that analog need to be converted into digital. Because why? Digital modulation or digital communication is noise free. I'm not telling 100%, but it is noise free and we can provide multiplexing. Multiplexing in the sense what? See, in your college or at your home, there is no if you're 10 people, there are no 10 doors present. There is only one door. From that door, 10 people can walk out. What we are doing is multiplexing. You will not walk out, you will not walk in or walk out together in group because there is no place. So you will walk one by one. That is what one for you 1 second. The second person will follow in second. That is the same place or the same frequency band is being used by allocating different channels. That is time division multiplexing. So those things are available in your digital communication and you can have less noise and transfer to a longer distance. Hence, your voice is converted into digital. Then that has to be converted into radio wave. Then that has to be sent to the other transmission station. That again has to go to your phone. So these things are actually done in your mobile communication. Okay. Now the architecture, what gives this is following. So this is your actual architecture for your mobile communication. So if I show you in a different slide, so this is your GSM architecture. So GSM is a technology which gives me mobile communication, and how that is even made possible is by using this architecture. Okay. So this architecture has three major points. One, mobile station. Second one, base station subsystem, and third one is network subsystems. So these three architectures, using these three architecture, your mobile communication is made possible. Okay, your mobile station. Now what is your mobile station? The name feels that it is a station. Your mobile station is nothing but your cell phone. Okay, your cell phone is called as a mobile station. Now what your cell phone has, you all have a cell phone in your hand. Maybe you might be seeing this class or listening to this class with your cell phones. Your cell phone has two things: one, the equipment; the other one, the SIM card. So without, they both have to be present for any communication happening, isn't it? So either I need, if without a SIM card, the mobile doesn't work. It's like without EC, CS doesn't work. Without CS, EC doesn't work. So you need body and mind. So mobile system is nothing but your mobile phone. Your mobile phone is an equipment. In that mobile phone, there is a SIM card. So the main thing, what we need is your mobile subsystem. Okay, this is your mobile phone. Now once I have a mobile phone, I'm talking to somebody, let's say. How that is transmitted is a second thing, isn't it? That is done by your, this is your first part. The first part of your system is mobile station. Your mobile station is nothing but your mobile phone. Once it is done, what's next thing? I have to send, I have to talk to somebody. That has to be, that has to go to the destination. To do that, I need a lot of internal operation happening inside. Let's say that I'm talking to you, you're listening to me. So God gift, you can understand me. How do you do it? See, if I talk in Japanese, you definitely wouldn't understand if you don't know Japanese or if you don't have a dictionary. So we should be portable. If I really don't know Tamil, if you are from Chennai, I can understand Tamil because I see movies. Okay, so if I can only understand, but I hardly communicate it, and you might not understand my mother tongue. So what we are doing is we are using one common language, that is English, correct? So there should be some portability. For that, your mobile communication has a proper architecture. First, I send the data, I talk. how do they know that I am only talking? So I need a unique identification number. Each one of you has name, isn't it? Like that, a person is given a mobile phone, a person is given a SIM card, and that is unique to that person. Nobody else can use it. That is your mobile station. After that, whatever I'm sending, see, it is not like that. Imagine that you're going in a road, 10 bus cannot go together. So every bus has to go properly. So that somebody has to maintain the traffic. So there is a traffic controller there. So that part is done by your base stations. So we'll go one by one. Then once it is going, let's say that I'm talking there, so it is out of my coverage. So I'm talking in Chennai, you're talking there, I'm talking here. If I call you, I should be able to get connected. So that is done by your MSC. And let's say that I keep talking for 1 hour, but I have never recharged my cell phone. Or let's say that I'm somebody, or my cell phone is stolen by someone. So how do I see that that is not misused? So somebody should be there to authenticate, isn't it? Everybody there, somebody, everything happens is authentication now. Why? So whoever is calling should be authenticated. I should pay for the service. So those things are also maintained. That is in your network subsystem. Later, imagine that mobile communication is not only between mobile and mobile. So it's not sure that the B party doesn't have a mobile, he has a landline. The technology for landline is different, isn't it? So that person also should be able to talk to you. So what is the use only if mobile and mobile is communicating? Mobile and landline should also communicate. So that thing should be what? Merged. That is done by your network substation. So the three main substations or the three main stations of your mobile systems or GSM is mobile station, base station substations, subsystem, I'm sorry, and network systems. Okay, so these are three main parts of your GSM architecture. So any doubt till now? If you have, I can clarify it. Or shall I go further? Please be online or please be on time. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So I hope you understand. So what are the three main parts? One, MS. What is MS? Your mobile phone. Second one, BSC. What's BSC or BSS? Let's say base substations. And the third one is your NSS. So see, these are the three main parts of your mobile phone systems. Okay. So the first thing is we have divided into three main parts. Now let's start with each part. That is your, see how I'll tell you the basic of how it gets started. I will call. So my call goes, where it goes? It will go to my base station. From base station, it will go to BSC. From BSC, it will go to MSC. That means what? These are the three main steps. So first part is mobile station, second part is BSS, third part is NSS. Now what happens is I will call. So my call will go to BSS. I will tell you what are the parts of BSS. From that BSS, it goes to NSS. So from that NSS, it goes to the person to whom you are calling. So that is how your mobile station works or mobile communication works. Okay. See, as I told you, MS will send to BTS. What is BTS? I'll tell you. Let's say BSS. From that BSS, from BTS, it goes to BSC, and from BSC, it goes to MSC. So these are the three main parts where your mobile communication is happening. Okay. Now, see, this is the actual diagram. What I want to show, it is a very simplified diagram. So these are the two same diagrams, but that is more clear. So I'll be showing you that diagram. So as I said, already I've mentioned it, the three main parts of your GSM or mobile communication architecture is mobile phone or mobile station, base station subsystem, and network switching subsystem. So in mobile station, I have mobile equipment and SIM card. In base station subsystem, I have BTS and BSC. So if you want, you can note down. Just remember one thing, MS, BS and NS. In MS, I have mobile phone and SIM card. In BSS, I have BTS and BSC. Now what is BTS? So you can see so many towers near you. In the top of your buildings, there will be towers, isn't it? That is your BTS. And that BTS is controlled by someone. That is BSC. That BSC is controlled by someone, that is NSS. NSS has these many parts. So these are the three main division of your GSM architecture. We'll be seeing one by one. Okay, so if you can look at this, I will try to increase the size. So as I told you, I have MS and BTS are nothing but towers. So what you see in your nearby areas, towers, you will see big towers with antennas, isn't it? Parabolic antennas you see. So those are called as BTS. So when you talk or when you call, your call will directly go to base terminal system. So BTS is called as base terminal system. So base terminal system is nothing but it has a transmitter and a receiver. So it has to transmit as well as receive. So your BTS is generally a trans receiver. There is an antenna present in BTS with a tower. Why? Because so that my range can increase. So your BTS is nothing but a trans receiver. Now that BTS, whatever the data is coming from mobile phone will go to BTS first. From BTS, it will go to your BSC. Now what does BSC do? So it will see there are a lot of function. First we will start with our mobile station. That is your from BSC it will go to your MSC. From MSC it will go to your cell phones. So this is your architecture. So we will start with our mobile phones. So what your mobile phone has? Yeah, your mobile station. This is your mobile station. So what your mobile station has? Your mobile station is nothing but your mobile equipment. So your mobile equipment has what? Have you ever thought what is there inside your mobile phone? I hope you have opened it. If you open it, what you will have? You will have a microprocessor, you will have memory, then you will have a transceiver. That is your antenna, isn't it? That is your mobile station. So the first part of your GSM is mobile station. So what does your mobile station have? It has an equipment, and each equipment is being given an identification number. So if you remember, if you know, if you lose your mobile, so how do you give a complaint to that? If you go to police station or if you go, and they never help you in that. They tell that forget it, because even they don't have any, they don't do it correct. Now our mobile is never retrieved back. But each mobile, when it gets lost, they will give a complaint based on what? An IMEI number. Your each mobile phone has an IMEI number. So what does that IMEI number mean? So during manufacturing, the manufacturer would have given a number to that mobile phone. That is nothing but your IMEI number. So your mobile station or a mobile equipment has first one IMEI number. Okay, and it is a unique number. Every person has phone and each mobile phone has a unique number. That is your IMEI number. Okay, now what is the second part of your mobile station? First, I have an equipment called as cell phone. And what is the brain of the cell phone? SIM card. Now what does SIM card has? So you would have purchased so many SIM card, isn't it? So what does your SIM card have? Your first one, the mobile phone has what? I told you, IMEI number. What that is called? International Mobile Equipment Identity Number. It is unique. So if you get lost, if your mobile phone get lost, you have to give IMEI number so that it can be traced. Now the second part of your mobile station is what? Your SIM card. Now what does SIM card mean? Subscriber Identity Module. So that is unique, like a name. Or not, let's say that, see, if you are 30 people in your classroom, many will be Shruti, 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 Shruti. So what is your unique identity number? Your USN number or register number, if you university number or seat number. So the same thing, your subscriber identity module is a unique identity for each person. So if your phone get lost, you will get the same number. So you are a same person who is calling. Your SIM card is a unique identity number given to you. The SIM card contains, internally it contains, while manufacturing, they will chip or they will program a number called as International Mobile Subscriber Identity Number. So this is a unique identity given to your SIM card. See, when I purchase a SIM card, I cannot tell the SIM card name is Pavana, the SIM card name is someone else, Manju, whoever it is. So the name won't be given. What will be given? A unique identity is given to that particular SIM card. That unique identity is called as International Mobile Subscriber Identity, IMSI. So there are two things in mobile station. So if you are writing exam also, they might ask you, one is IMEI number, that is International Mobile Equipment Identity Number. The other one is IMSI number, that is your SIM card number. Okay. So MSISDN is a number which is your cell phone, that cell phone number, that is different. But each mobile phone has two unique identities. One is IMEI, the other one is IMSI in your GSM. Okay, it's already included, and SIM also has a memory. Remember, you store numbers in your SIM, isn't it? So these are the mobile equipment what is used in your mobile communication. Has two identity number. One is IMEI, the other one is IMSI. Okay. So I hope you understood what I'm talking about. See, this is your cell phone. The cell phone has IMEI number, which is an equipment identity, SIM card, which is an individual identity. So once, because somebody, they have to make out, correct, no? Who is calling? How do I know who is calling? So to give you an identity, they take they take your international mobile subscriber identity number. You keep changing your cell phones. The SIM card remains same, isn't it? So this is a one which gives you an identity. So you are so and so is calling, so and so has taken so many internet data, so and so has taken so many SMS. That is given by your international mobile subscriber identity number. Okay, so what is the first part of your GSM? Mobile station. Mobile station has two parts, IMEI number and IMSI number. I hope it's clear. So now you make a call. Let's say that you're calling your mom, dad, or whoever it is. So what happens now? That call has to go. How does it go? By using radio wave. The GSM uses, I forgot to tell you a point. I hope I have written this. I think I have not written it. Okay, so just give me a minute. So a GSM band, GSM is technology. So that technology uses how the data is going through air. So it cannot fly, it is flying through air. So it simply cannot fly, isn't it? There should be some particular frequency band. So the frequency band for your GSM is 900 megahertz to 900 to 1800. Okay, so these megahertz, that is 900 to 1800 megahertz, is used for your frequency in GSM. So that is being sent from your mobile phone. So you have called somebody, done. Calling is done. So now once someone identifies that you are calling by your SIM card number, that is your IMSI number. Now once it is done, what's the next thing happening? See in your this diagram, once we are done with my mobile station in your architecture. So this is your standard book architecture, so I have taken it. So this is your mobile station, you have called, done. My call is done. Now what happens next is a question. Okay. So as I've already told you, mobile equipment number, subscriber identity number. Now what happens next after the call is done? We'll see that. So once my call is done, what will happen? So once the call is done, see my mobile is called. I have called someone. So through air is an interface, isn't it? Through air, it is good. Yeah. What happened? Somebody spoke. Okay, so through air it is going. So to where it is going? It is going to this tower. Now this tower is called as base transceiver stations. So this is a tower. What you see wherever you go, there is a tower, isn't it? This is that tower. Okay, each cell, I told you that the entire geographical area is divided into number of cells, isn't it? Each cell has one tower. The data is going to this tower, and this tower is called as base transceiver system, that is station, BTS. So now this BTS, each tower can take 8 mobile stations at a time. So now this BTS will receive your data. Once it has received your data, it will send that data to, or it will send your call to BSC. See, everything is happening in a fraction of a second. You can't make out what's happening inside, but these steps are happening. So from cell phone, it goes to base transceiver station. From base transceiver stations, it is going to BSC. So we will see what's BSC. Okay. So we are done with your first part. So my mobile, I have called, my tower has received it. How it has received? See, it will simply not receive whatever my data is, it is first converted into digits. Why I told you digital modulation is a technology happening right now. That digital modulation is that it is modulated by using certain frequency band, and that is sent to your BTS. Now that BTS will receive it. Once your BTS has received it, what is the next thing it will do? It will send the data to BSC. Okay. Now your multiple BTS is connected to one BSC. Now you can ask me, what is BSC? Local telephone exchange. See, you, if you remember, you have local telephone exchanges, isn't it? That is your BSC. So multiple area is connected to one local. It is like that, one local telephone exchange. So their BSC will receive it. Once your BSC has received whatever you have sent, so what is your, what it will do next? So your BTS will do what? It will have an antenna. It will take your data. It will send the data to the BSC. How it will do? First it will encode. I hope you know what's encoding. What's encoding? And then it will encrypt. So if you want to, why it is encryption? You know, there was a issue for WhatsApp encryption. Why the encryption is required? Nobody should read it, isn't it? Nobody should hack your phone call. So encryption is, so it is important. So who is doing all that? BTS is doing all that. So what is BTS doing? The BTS first, it will encode the data, then it will encrypt the data, then it will multiplex the data. You know what is, I gave you a simple example of multiplexing. There is only one door, 100 people should go. You know that you can't make 100 doors. So what you'll do, in one door, everybody will go one by one. That one by one is called as multiplexing. Very simple. Multiplexing is can be done in multiple ways, frequency or time. So your multiplexing is done, then modulation is done. So I know you, what is modulation? If you want to walk 20 kilometer, if you walk by foot, you will fall and you will go to hospital directly. For our generation, I'm telling. So what you will do, you will take a bus, you will take an auto, you will take an aircraft, you will take a cycle. What you're doing, you're modulating. Once you go there, you will not sit in the auto for lifelong, you will get down. That is demodulation. So that is done in your BTS. And next, your everything is done. See, once it is sent, the other BTS will what? Decode, de-encrypt and give it to your system. If I talk and if somebody else is listening only tune, what is there to understand? So what they have to do is, they have to encode it, encrypt, then decode, decrypt. So that is also done in your BTS. Okay, so BTS is a tower which performs all these things. See, you talk hours together with someone else. So this much is load what you are giving to your tower. Okay, it will encode, it will encrypt, it will multiplex, it will modulate. Okay, yeah.
And what is the full form of BTS, ma'am?
It is base terminal station. 1 second, I'll show you. Base transceiver station or base terminal station.
There are two BSCs, no ma'am. BSC and BTS.
BSC is called as base station controller.
Okay, these two comes under that second part, ma'am. What is that? I mean, you said 3 categories. Under these 3 categories, these BTS and BSC will come, no ma'am.
Under first category, base station subsystem.
Under base station subsystem.
Yes, under BSS, your BTS and BSC comes.
BSS. Base station subsystem. Okay, okay.
See, first is mobile station, your mobile phone. Done. That is done. Okay.
Okay.
Second one is BSS. That BSS has 3 parts. That is the BSS are 2 things, main things, BTS and BSC. So BTS stands for base transceiver system or base terminal system. The second one is BSC, that is base station controller. See, they will, if 100 towers are there, somebody should be there to collect it and transfer it, isn't it? That somebody is your BSC, like local exchange. If you have seen your local telephone office, you can see so many wires coming from everywhere, isn't it?
Yes, yes,
That
ma'am.
is your BSc.
Ma'am, BSS full form, can you tell once again, ma'am?
BSS you want?
Yes, ma'am. Full form, full form.
Okay, okay, I'll tell you. BSS full form is Base Station Subsystem.
Ah, okay, okay, okay.
Can I go forward?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it from MS, it goes to BTS. From BTS, it has reached base. See, there are so many acronyms, no? By telling, I'll also get confused. BSC is nothing but Base Station Controller. Okay. So the base station controller has received the signal from this tower, let's say. Now what that base station controller should do? So your base station controller gives you resources. So we have told frequency bands, isn't it? You know that there was a scam, 2G scam if you remember, that frequency bands are very, very costly. They should use it very effectively, isn't it? So they will be given a set of frequency bands. Using that frequency bands only they have to communicate. So they should not misuse it. Imagine they are paying crores together. If you know that the scam, they had called tender and there was a scam because it is very, very costly. So they have to use it very effectively. So that resourcing, somebody should give the channel to call. See, if you're calling, that channel should be free. If not, you will tell that the caller is busy. You will get that message, isn't it? So that channel has to be allocated. That is allocated by your BSc. Your for your BTS, for your call, your BSc is the one which allocates the resource. Now, what do you mean by resource? The channel or a frequency band. Understood? Now, once your BSc will first, it will allocate it. Then it performs lot of handover function. See, that handover function itself is a big topic. Handover function is you will be talking in one cell. I'll tell you as much as possible. You will be talking in one cell. You will move to another cell. So somebody should be there to hand over from one tower to another tower. And you will leave the entire state and go. Somebody should be there to handle from one state to another state. So these are operations which can be performed by using your BSc and MSc. So these are the one which allocates resources. Okay. What are our resources? Frequency bands. Okay. Your call is taken from BTS. From BTS, it has gone to BSc. Now from BSc, it will go to your mobile switching center. So your MSc stands for mobile switching center. So I hope you understand this first part. BSS, that is base station subsystem, has two parts, BTS and BSc. Now once you are done with this part, it will go to your network switching substation, that is NSS. Now the parts of NSS is very important. So you have already called, your frequency is allocated, now your call has to be forwarded. To whom are you forwarding? See, if you're calling A, the call should go to A, it should not go to C. Then what's the point in calling? So how do you identify that it is A you are calling? So those things, and have you paid your bill? Somebody should check, correct? And are you an authenticated user? You are from Airtel, and let's say that you are from Airtel, you have not paid any bill. Your bill is lagging. Why they will allow you to pay? So somebody should see all those things. So that part, the authentication part, the identification part is done in your NSS. Okay, network switching substations. So if I show you PPT here, this part is done, our BSS is done. Next, your NSS comes into picture. Now I hope you have followed what I've told you. The mobile had called. So the call was it was converted to DA, that is your modulation was done, then it was multiplexed, then it was sent to your BSc, the frequency channel was allocated. Now it has to go. The next part, whatever comes is called as network switching subsystem. That is NSS. So the NSS is your brain, like your CPU. Okay. Now that network switching subsystem has following units. One, mobile switching center. The second, home location register. The third one, visitor location register. Fourth one, authentication center. Fifth one, equipment identity registers. So these many things are happening when you call. So next time when you call, you remember this. So these many things somebody else is doing background. So these things are running for your comfort. So NSS has these many parts. Okay. So till now, any confusion? Till now, any confusion? Okay, if you're
No,
not
ma'am,
answering,
no, ma'am.
yeah, then I'll continue. So your network switching system is the main part, and the CPU of your entire architecture is mobile switching center. So mobile switching center is a one which performs all the switching between your mobile phone. It will check everything. It is a main part of your system. It is a brain, let's say. We will see what all function it performs later. Mobile switching center, it performs the switching between the mobile, and see, I told you already, you can call from the landline. Somebody should be there. The technologies are different. Landline technology is different. Your cell phone technology is different. Somebody should be there who make it as portable. Now you have Google Translator, isn't it? See what does Google Translator do? It will translate to my language. So that is what your mobile switching center will do. It will switch the call. It is portable in the sense from one station to other station it will switch, and it will manage the entire operation. We will see what operation is managed by the mobile switching center. These are the following parts. I hope you understood. Our NSS has these many parts. Okay. So these are the following functions which are performed by an MSC. One, manage communication between GSM and other networks. See, GSM is one technology. We have so many technology. There is a CDMA technology, Code Division Multiple Access technology, TDMA technology. So it is a portable thing for different technologies. Everybody can talk. It should be universal. Correct? No, like ASCII letters, universal. So like that, your mobile switching centers see that it is portable for different networks. Next, billing information. Who will bill? Who will see that your billing information is collected, transmitted? Who will see that you are paying it? So those things are done in GSM. Mobility management. That is, you're moving. You're moving to a different part. Who will see that you're going from one cell to another cell, from one location to another location? So all these are done by your MSC. So with your help of your MSC, all these operations are performed. Okay. So that's why they call it as heart of the system. Now, so we have already seen MSC. Now my call has gone to MSC, let's say, mobile switching center. Now what that does? So when you call first thing, what happens is you should be registered, correct? No? Without SIM card, you cannot call, and there should be some service provider, either Airtel or Vodafone or somebody you will fill the form and give it, isn't it? What are you filling? You're filling your entire biodata and you're giving it. That biodata is stored in your HLR. Your HLR is nothing but home location register. Let's say that you are in an apartment. So that is your home. Let's say your number is 213. So that is your home location register. It is already stored. So it is done by your service provider. Service provider, your entire data will be stored. Where it will be stored? Home location register, HLR. Okay. So your NSS has these many parts. One is MSC, which helps in switching and getting portable everything. And how that operation is done by MSC is by using this databases. These are database. So HLR is nothing but home location register, has all the information of that particular customer. Now the customer when he goes, what he does in general, he will ask for the SIM. Now what they do when they give you the SIM? So when they give you the SIM, you will enter everything, isn't it? So that is stored in one database. That database is called as HLR, Home Location Register. Okay, understood what is HLR? Home Location Register is a database where all the data are present. The customer data is present in HLR. Okay, it stores the permanent data about the subscriber, including service profile, location information, activity status, what subscription you're taking, whether you're taking for 82 days or whether you're taking only internet or whether you're taking only phone call. Those data will be present in your home location register. Okay, so your MSc will switch the call only by using this database. Okay, next comes visitor location register. Now let's say that from your apartment you're going to another apartment, so they will make you sign a book, isn't it? So you are not a permanent member of that apartment, you're going to apartment B. Then what do you become? You become a visitor. So they make you sign it. Why they make you sign it? They want to know what is your location. They will give you, let's say, one ID card. If you go to some university, from your university, if you go to another university, they give you an identity card. Why? Because they want to give you a unique identity even when you are visiting it. After coming out of that university, your identity card becomes waste, isn't it? So VLSR is called as Visitor Location Register. Now what does Visitor Location Register do? It gives you a temporary identity. So from your university, you're going to another university, they're giving you a temporary ID card. The same thing happens here. From Karnataka, if I come to Chennai, I will be given a separate temporary identity number, because that is not my location access. I am going to another state. When I go to another state, even then they'll keep an eye on me. So they will give me a temporary identity. They will find out where I am, what services I need, what services I have logged into. So those data are present in VLR. So VLR is nothing but Visitor Location Register. It contains what? Temporary information about the subscribers. For and who need it? MSc need it. Why the MSc needs it? It has to identify no, whether you are in the same whether you are in the same state, or whether they have to bill you for roaming. So those things are done by your VLR. So when you go from your location area, that is, let's say, keep it as a state. When you go from one state to another state, that whatever the data is present in that HLR will go to your visitor location, and you will be given a temporary identity until unless you come back to your hometown. That is your visitor location register. Okay, and VLR is always checked by your MSc before billing. If they bill more, you will scold, isn't it? So they will see whether you are in the same local area or whether you have gone to roaming, so that they can bill. So that data is present in your VLR. So when a mobile station roams into new area, the VLR gets connected to MSc and will request the data. From where it will request? It will request from your HLR. So your permanent address is here. You are going to some other state. So when you are going to, they will simply not connect you to the phone. First, they will ask your identity. From where they'll ask your identity? From your home location register. And after that, they will give you a temporary identity until unless you are there in that area. Once you are done, you can get connected. So that is your visitor location register. This is your home location register. Okay, so I hope you have followed it. If you have questions, you can always ask. Next is authentication. Now, what do you mean by authentication? See, when you go to a college, if they're seeing an ID card, if you're not a member of the college, they'll kick you out of the college. Why? You're not authenticated. They should see, no, you're the authenticated user, so that they'll provide you service. Without that authentication, you are not allowed into the network. So somebody should check it. Who is checking? MSc is checking. How it is checking? By using authentications. So your authentication center is a database that stores a copy of a key in each SIM card. So your SIM card is always authenticated first. Okay, which is used for authentication. You are not simply allowed inside without authentication. You don't know what's happening behind. You are first authenticated, then only you are allowed. Authenticating in the sense, the SIM card is, let's say that your SIM card is stolen, right? So how will you have given a complaint? If your SIM card is stolen, they would have made something there, or they would have made a blacklist. You are not authenticated. You can't enter the network. So first your authentication is done by your MSc only by seeing the database. The database which has authentication is nothing but your AUC. So HLR, VLR, AUC are databases like your register, what they maintain in your college. Okay. There's so many frauds happening, isn't it? To avoid that, they go for AUC. Done. So this is your NSS. So NSS has how many parts? Your NSS has home location. Yeah, 5 parts. So we are done with HLR. Done. It is your university. Next, your friend's university, let's say. Next, authentication is done. Next, now your phone is stolen. If you go, I have an experience because I lost my cell phone. So what they'll do, IMEI number is tracked. They can remove our cell phone, SIM card, break it and throw it off. But that IMEI number is there? No, that is tracked. And if you go to the police station and complain, they will put this IMEI number to Equipment Identity Register. It is also a database. So how they blacklist? If you have shortage of attendance, they are blacklisting you, isn't it? That is a database. So like that, this is also a database. So whenever your mobile phone is stolen or unauthorized, if you give a complaint, provided that number, IMEI number, which is a unique for everyone, will be stored in this database. This is called as Equipment Identity Register. It is blacklisted, like that it is. The last one is that's all. No, we are done with mobile switching center, visiting location register, authentication, equipment identity number. Till now, any doubt? I hope there is no doubt because you are not telling anything. Any doubt?
Okay. This all comes under base station, base subsystem, no, ma'am?
No, man. See, there are 3 parts, no? See?
Oh, this is different. This is the third category, ma'am.
Ah, third category, man.
NS is the third category.
NSS is third category.
Second category is BSS.
Exactly.
First category, ma'am?
Mobile phone. See, they have given a very fancy name as mobile station. Fancy name is mobile station.
Page, ma'am.
Huh?
I have to note it down. Please hold this page, ma'am.
Yes, sure. I will send it to you if you want. No issues.
Okay, when will you send, ma'am?
Whenever it is possible, I'll send it to your organizer or someone, let's say.
Okay, fine, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So till now, I hope you understood. So if I keep continuing, you'll sleep off. 1 hour is done. I hope you understood. See, this is my speed. If you want to reduce the speed, I will reduce it. So the last part I'll tell you and wind off the class because I don't want to leave it here. See, this is your last part, OMC. So OMC is nothing but operating support subsystem. So somebody, see, everything cannot happen automatically. There should be someone who is taking care of everything. Let's say that there is some error or they have to keep checking what's happening in real time. So that is provided by your OMC. That is, your OMC is a one which sees that everything runs properly. Okay, OSS is nothing but the network of functional entity which controls every operation happening, or which monitors, not controlling, it monitors so that nothing goes in a wrong way, and if it goes, they'll see that it is correct. So this is your GSM. See, architecture, there are so many diagrams for GSM architecture. Only the line, the way they have done will be different, but the rest will remain same. So if I'll send this to your whoever it is, you can ask them. So shall we stop the class?
Ma'am, what doubt, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, operation support system in the category, ma'am. Fourth category,
It's not fourth category. See, it doesn't come under us. See, I can understand Tamil, but I cannot tell you in Tamil. Is it okay?
Oh, fine. Okay, ma'am. No problem. You tell in English. I can understand.
You can understand. No, see, yes, operation and maintenance center is not a category, man. See, the thing is, how will I give you a simple example? See, when they do orchestra, somebody will be singing, somebody will have music station, somebody will sit and manage everything, isn't it? You've seen, no? So somebody in background is real time monitoring everything. See, everything should be monitored. Your BSS should be monitored. Your BSc should be monitored. If something goes wrong, what happens next? That something going wrong in background will be maintained by your operation and maintenance center. They have not given a particular category for it, so I have not categorized it. So your OMC is a part of your GSM. this takes care of the monitoring of everything.
Okay, so all the three categories, mobile station, BSS, and NNSS, is controlled by operation support system.
Exactly. Monitored by OMC.
Monitored, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody should be there not to monitor. If something goes wrong, so your OMC is a operator who will monitor everything. If something goes wrong, they'll see that real-time monitoring is done and the fault detection is done. Okay. And your billing, everything is done by NSS. Remember, I will send you the notes. So tomorrow I'll continue it if the class is there. I will tell you the working of your NSS. Right now I explained you the parts of everything. So tomorrow I'll tell you how the billing is done, etc. and etc.
What is GSM, ma'am? GSM.
Global System for Mobile Computing.
Okay.
It's a technology, man. See, they'll tell now, give me an example for some technology. Now, mobile communication has to be done. How it is done? By some technique. The name of the technique is GSM.
Okay, Global System of Mobile Communication.
For mobile computing.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So, we'll wind up the class. We'll continue in the next class.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, mobile communications complete பண்றதுக்கு எத்தனை classes ஆகுமா?
They have given me 6 hours. So,
Okay, ma'am.
I'll try to finish within 6 hours.
Okay, ma'am. We have the exam on 12th. Before the 60 days, we have
See,
to...
there is no much topic in that year. One is this one,
Okay.
SM. Next is TDM, FDM.
Okay, ma'am.
Tomorrow, next class, we'll finish that.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll do my best. You do your best. Hope.
Okay, ma'am. What's the possible questions எல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் லாஸ்ட்ல டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணலாமா மேம்? இல்ல தியரி क्वेश्चंस என்ன எக்ஸாம்க்கு என்ன பாசிபிள் क्वेश्चंस அது FDMA TDM எல்லாம் ப்ராப்ளம் வருமா மேம்?
I'll check out and tell you. Is it okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, I'll see. I'll check out. I'll download some paper. If possible, we'll solve it. It's fine, no?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, please share the notes to sir, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll share it.
Okay. Daily share the today's daily class notes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.